And something that Janet mentioned, it is really a BHOG. It is really a very far-fetched, stretched goal to represent the entire world accurately on maps. And that's exactly the mission that we've embarked on. And this session is about how you guys are a very important part of that strategy. All right? This session is going to cover ways by which we are trying to collect user-provided content for maps. There are several ways you can contribute to maps. Before that, let me ask you guys, how many of you contribute to maps, have contributed in the past? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's quite a few people. How many of you have done, reported a problem on maps? Yeah, there's a report a problem link, actually, on maps. How many of you know that it exists? Very few, actually. How many of you have used MapMaker? Okay. So I'm going to talk about how you can go ahead and edit Google Maps. And this is really cool, because Google Maps is accessible to millions of users around the world. And so it's accessible on all forms of devices, like mobile phones. In fact, very recently, some competitors are trying to launch their own maps. But most mobile phone makes actually support Google Maps, whether it's Android or iOS, and all kinds of laptops, desktops. So whatever data you provide, it's accessible to millions of users. And I'm going to tell you how you can edit Google Maps. Now, this is a slide that probably draws some, it's a metaphor. Does anybody know what is this? What is this picture? Anybody? Sorry? Okay, all right, so that gentleman. Who gets the mug? Yep, that guy. Yep. So yes, give him a big round of applause, the Bandra ceiling. Now, the metaphor here is this. When we build a bridge, right, that bridge provides access to millions of people who come after that. That's exactly the way the data you provide for maps. Whatever data you provide is being used by millions of people. Sometimes to reach to their nearest coffee shop, sometimes to reach to the nearest hospital in case of dire emergency. And that's the value you can provide by providing data to maps. Now, let me show you a video which happened in Australia. Yeah. Just make it quick.
It just happened as quick as we're talking. Before we knew it, it was up to our waist, basically. Jessie managed to get up on here and got a foot on that, and she got up on this corner of the patio roof here. We actually said goodbye to ourselves and kissed the grandsons goodbye, and Kathy rang our daughter in Brisbane to say goodbye to her. She said, "No, Mum, hang on, I'll get help."
The call came in from...
That's incredible. So how many of you are now convinced that having the right information at the right time, right geographic information at the right time, can sometimes be a matter of life and death? How many of you are convinced that it is true? Absolutely, absolutely. This is exactly why you need to provide local knowledge that you have about your neighborhoods. Now, this is the reason why we actually have these ways for you to report a problem or be able to go on MapMaker. No matter how much resources we have, how big a company we are, what really cool and geeky tools we could have, nothing can substitute the knowledge that you have about your neighborhood that is fairly dynamic. I mean, the world is not static, right? Maybe most city boundaries, country boundaries do change, but the thing is, they're mostly static, but the nearest coffee shop, the businesses that come nearby, the location of a cafe coffee that moved from that corner of the street to the opposite building, such things keep changing. And that's exactly why we think of users as a very important part of the strategy. And I'm going to actually go through some ways you can interact with maps and be a part of the experience, while Abhishek is going to actually show you how to do this stuff. Okay? You have to change it to Bangalore. Yeah. No, go back. Click correct it here. Yeah. All right. So we're going to show you how you can. How many business owners do we have here? Okay. How many of you have added your business on Google Maps? Okay, great. So it's one of the very important. So for example, if you look at it, Google search is a way people find information, and apart from that, YouTube and Maps are probably the second and third largest trending search engines by which people find information. And especially Maps is the largest, I would think, interface by which people find geographic information. And here, Abhishek is going to show you how he's going to put your business on Google Maps. So you click that, and then it asks you to log in with your Gmail address. And you can provide your phone number by which you provide your phone number by which you can claim a place. For example, let's say some user on MapMaker had actually added your business place, right? And he's also provided a phone number. Now, when you type the phone number here, it's going to show you that this business is this with this phone number. And once you click that, you can probably go and add an address to it, and then also claim a place page. Now, every business on Google Maps has a place page, which is what Rahul showed. And then maybe, for example, Abhishek, can you search for MTR on Google Maps? And then show them a place page. How many of you guys use place pages? What do you exactly use it for? Would you be able to say why you use a place page? Yes, as a business owner, yes, definitely. You use it to make more visible. You can customize your place page. That's the way you showcase your business. Any user who visits the place page to learn more about a business here? Why would you do that? Exactly. So, perfect. All these are ways, and I think one thing that recently opened up is also the ability to review a business on a place page. So something remarkable that happened in the past 10 years is this sort of sourcing information from the crowd, which kind of narrows it down to what exactly a certain place stands for, right? So we're using the wisdom of crowds to rate a place as whether it's providing good service, what are the pros, and what are the cons about the business. For example, a restaurant. Food is good, service is not bad. Hole-in-the-wall place, dirty, not very hygienic, but food is tasty. These kind of stuff you can go and put on that place page. Now, this is the place page that you're seeing here. And another way you can actually provide information to Google Maps is by actually reporting a problem. So what sort of problems have you guys encountered in the past on Maps? This gentleman? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Absolutely. Now, he is that user that Jayant was pointing out who really gets irked when Google Maps is not correct. And if he went and reported a problem, he's doing ourselves and those people who get mad that there's a road on the lake also a favor, right? So a big round of applause for the gentleman. And here's your mug. Yeah. So it's fairly simple how to report a problem. Abhishek is going to be demonstrating here how to report a problem. There are a couple of ways, a couple of places where you can find the report a problem link. There's one, let's say you search for MTR, right? So that, what we call is a feature. I mean, we use the term feature internally. It represents a place or any entity on the map. So right at the bottom, you see a report a problem link. And then you also can go to the more at the left-hand search result. And you can see a report a problem link there. And there's a report a problem link when you click the feature itself on the map and when you click more on the right-hand side. You actually see a report a problem. Okay? Now click that, Abhishek. And what kind of problems can you report? Now the first thing, the location itself. You can move that marker around and play with it on the map. On the map, yeah. Go back, Abhishek. Just go back. On the map, on the left-hand side, you can move the marker. Yeah, you can move the marker, and you can also. So once you go, you can also go to the edit your page, which would go to the place page. So it would actually. So this does not have a place page. That's probably why. Oh yeah, okay, so yeah. So this Gmail address is not linked to that place, so which is exactly why he's not able to edit it. If he has a business and he claimed it, he will be able to do it. And he can also report a problem as a user. For example, let's say a business is closed. It's a duplicate. It does not exist. And some of the details related to that place is not correct, accurate. And it goes to a team inside that internally verifies and tries to fix these problems. So that's report a problem for you. You can see what all you can change. And then now we're going to the coolest part of this entire session, whereas we give you an opportunity to actually map places. Before that, I'd like to show a video about MapMaker. It's not wired for both, so you have to see one here, one there. Sorry, that's how I messed it up. Really sorry. So Google MapMaker. Now, there are several ways by which you can actually enter or go and edit into Google MapMaker. There's several entry points. The largest entry point most people get in through for Google MapMaker is by the edit link on Google Maps. So just like how you saw a report a problem link on the Maps page, if you go to Google Maps, and let's say you search for a specific, search for, let's say, Taj Mahal. Yeah. There's an edit in MapMaker link, and that would allow you to edit many things about that place, starting from the name, the address, the location, the marker, or you can just go and search for a large geography, and you can also go and edit points in that geography. There's also another way to enter MapMaker, which is you directly go to mapmaker.google.com. You have to sign in. For report a problem, you don't have to sign in. You can actually report as an anonymous user, but for MapMaker, you have to sign in. The reason is because MapMaker uses your past editing record to determine how much we should trust the data we provide you. Okay, so we maintain. Not that any one person would have access to that. Your privacy is taken care of. But there's a really complex algorithm in the back end that actually defines what is the trust score you have. And that allows your edits to go with moderation, without moderation. So we have a moderation team internally within Google that actually reviews these edits. And the reason why we do that, unlike other wiki products, is that just like how Rahul told you, we have data that's being conflated from other sources as well. And more importantly, what you're trying to do is that you're trying to provide your information to a person who can find it on Google Maps, right? And we wanted to ensure that that information goes to that user in a way that can be rendered properly, that can be searched properly by that user, Maps user, so that it really consummates the purpose why you provide that data. And that's exactly why we have a moderation team that moderates it. And we will probably go through a few slides where we try to edit there are a couple of things you can do with Google Maps. One, you can add a place. So now Abhishek is going to show you how you add a place. A place is nothing but, it just means some business or some school or some park. So he's adding an apartment building there. And you type a category, a name. Wonder, is that where he lives? Please don't stalk him. And so you can add a whole bunch of details about it. The details that are available depend on the kind of feature we call the term. The term we use is feature for any entity on maps. It depends on the nature of the feature and the category of the feature. It also pops you whether you want to mark a boundary or a building outline. You can also mark a boundary or building outline so that it renders as an entity on maps. For example, can you just show something that renders as a boundary somewhere, Abhishek, for them to be able to see? Yeah. So that's a boundary. The rail wagon workshop, that is a boundary that somebody's drawn it, which is available for that. And we'll also show you how to draw a boundary. Before that, let us also show you how to maybe draw a road or a railroad or walking trails or bike paths. These are connectivity. These are things you can think of as connect different entities. It can be that's how you connect. So that's a road. You can draw roads wherever. And there's a satellite image that you can actually see in the background to be able to guide you. So for example, here, if a road is not marked, you can actually see the road on the satellite image, and then you can draw the road along. So the satellite image is your real guide to be able to draw these roads at a specific point, which is what you saw on the video, right? This person connecting and drawing roads. So a lot of local roads. Most of the highways, we get it mapped by other party sources, but most of the local roads that lead to your schools, your grocery stores, your apartments, these are marked by users, mostly. And when they provide a name, it's searchable, editable. How many of you actually have wondered that as imperfect as Google Maps is, most of the time it gets you someplace near, right? Most of the time it gets you someplace near. I was actually going, last month I was going to buy an apartment in this place. I didn't buy it actually, but then there's this place called Oragaram near Chennai. And I was going to buy an apartment and it's under construction. Somebody had already marked that place. And I could find a route. Nobody knew the route. We actually reached that place within like 500 meters of the distance. That's incredible. And that's possible today because of Google Maps and then MapMaker being able to provide the data. So we'll also show you how to add a shape. And then he's actually trying to draw a shape. For example, if that's your farm, you can actually mark it as a farm. But of course, you can't mark it as my farm. If it's something that is accessible for public use, that's probably what you draw. You can't go and mark a boundary and say my house. For that, you can actually use My Maps, which is a feature available for you to mark places that are important to you and share it with other people. So the boundary allows a specific place to render correctly on maps. Anybody here who's actually marked a building or a boundary before? All right. Any nuances you'd like to share about how correctly or accurately you could do it? And there are some nuances to it, some basic nuance that people will tell you. Would you like to share? Anybody?
Most of the time the maps are not updated. If you want to, few problems are like the maps are not updated. So if we try and map some of the new things which are coming up, it's very difficult, and we don't get the approval. That's the main problem we normally face. So
absolutely, yeah. The problem is probably because the satellite image is not updated yet.
That's right.
It's probably the reason. So that gentleman. So I thought you were going to mention the nuance of actually ground clearance thing, right?
So the main thing is basically always switch to the satellite view and look at the boundary. And if you know, start with the road and mark the boundary and look at the other boundaries and mark the place.
Yeah. So there are some quirks about the product, okay, and these are things we're trying to get better and better. Jayant would probably talk more about it since he's the product manager. But what we're trying to do, so one thing is when you mark a boundary, we want it to be rendered accurately on maps, right? So for example, most of these satellite images are taken from an angle, if you look at it, right? And then what happens is, so for example, the boundary that you see there on the top is not exactly the boundary because it's taken from an angle. you actually try to mark the boundary for the ground clearance. But even if you did not do it that way, there are people internally who fix it so that when it goes to maps, it's rendered properly. Okay, just a nuance. I'm just telling you. And as
yes.
progressing. Sorry, anybody want? Yeah.
Actually, I did for fun book my region in Taj Mahal. My home place is Taj Mahal, but it is not accepted. How that kind of preventions your Google Map provide?
I can't understand your question.
I mark my home is Taj Mahal.
Okay.
But it is not accepted.
Okay.
How these kind of predictions from Google Map?
So did you say that it is my home, or what did you call it?
Yeah, my home.
Exactly. So it is private data. Okay. For example, let's say, what is the name? Do you live in an apartment?
No, I'm separate home, residential home.
Okay, residential home. So the thing is now, people would want to. So we take certain things publicly on maps, and marking a person's private residence is not one of them. Okay, which is what I was telling you, right? So, for example, let's say you were residing in a certain apartment, and that apartment is a business place because there will be people who are trying to find apartments. So we want to render that on maps. But let's say in that apartment there's a specific apartment where you live, and you want to map that, maybe not. Okay.
Just 1 second, Prassana. Did you try to claim the monument Taj Mahal as a home? Okay.
Oh, that.
And you wanted to know how we caught that? It's pretty simple. We just know all the major landmarks in the world. It's a very small set. Even if it runs into the millions, it's a small set for Google to handle, right? So, and we don't have millions of landmarks in like historically important places. So if somebody comes and claims it, we say sorry. Very simple.
Oh, you actually did. Is that what he did? I didn't understand. Oh, okay.
Hello.
Yeah. So just one moment. So if you do that and you get denied, your trust score is going down. Okay, so don't ever do that. Okay.
Another question: when we add to the Google Map, how do you verify the individual? Like, suppose if I say this is particular my property, and it goes after you submit, it goes for verification. So how do you verify that?
That's a very interesting question. Now, what I want to tell you is, in a wiki model, we want to fundamentally trust the user. And you would be surprised how very little bad data we actually get. Okay? Most users don't want to go and mark Taj Mahal as their home. Okay? Most users actually want to provide real data that's valuable to most other people. Okay? So we trust the user, and we verify with the satellite image. If the satellite image is not matching, we probably communicate back to you, asking you, if anything has changed. Because satellite image, there's only a certain frequency at which we refresh satellite. Satellite image refreshing happens based on so many different things. For example, one of the important parameters is how many online users you have in that area. Okay. For example, in the United States, you have extremely good image because, let's say you go over San Francisco, you'll see really good images because we have planes flying over. Okay. And you have Street View and many other sources by which we get that image, and so you have better image. Here in bigger cities in India, you'd probably, let's say Hyderabad, Bangalore, you'd have better images. Let's say if you go to the place where I come from, Madurai, you would not have that great images. In fact, I tried to find my dad's hospital. I actually had to use a lot of other related features to locate where my dad's hospital probably could be. Okay.
So let's
finish the
let's take questions by session. Section.
Sure. Yeah. So moving on. So we saw how you add places, how you draw linear features, and how you can add a shape, and then what can you map? You can map just about anything that you think is publicly relevant. A cafe, a hospital, a road, an interior designer company. You can mark a pawn shop, okay? Anything that is relevant to somebody else. Not just, that should be a stranger. For example, let's say your home could be relevant to your friends, but that's not relevant to the entire world, right? A pawn shop probably is because a lot of us eat pawn, okay? So those are the things you can actually map. You can map rivers, trails, railroads, So depending on how critical the edit that you're making is, you may need approvals. For example, there are some. For example, if you're trying to edit a very important road in a city, it may require 2 approvals sometimes. Okay. The reason is because we don't. For example, you're saying that a certain important highway that connects 2 states is closed. It may require more number of approvals because we don't want that to affect the maps user right away. So we saw, okay, now we saw adding shapes. Now, what I would like to show you is also editing places. For example, let's say, open any business feature you have, and then try to edit it. So you can not only add these places, you can also go and edit places. For example, you went to a certain restaurant, the number had changed. You can provide that information. You don't have to be the business owner, right? You don't have to be the business owner at all. All you have to do is, and we will try to verify this if there's a website for the restaurant. If we can't, we will just trust the user. So you can edit many different fields in that feature. So you can also edit a specific. It's similar to an ad, except that there's already a feature that you're trying to edit. Now, what can you do? Now, he will show you an example of a golf course that has been so intricately mapped by this gentleman or lady, I'm not sure. Yeah. So this golf course actually has been marked for the different tees and all the holes and different places on the golf course itself. If this is something, so for example, let's say you're using a certain bike trail in some nature reserve that most people don't know, you can map it. You can map whatever you do. You can map a tennis court if you're a tennis player, where you go to play tennis. We're going to show you, for example, what happened in the case of Cyclone Nargis. When Cyclone Nargis hit Myanmar, a lot of people around the world got together and mapped emergency services. So you can see how this entire place looked before here on the maps, and how within 1 week of effort, how that place looks. So basically, they mapped the important emergency services like hospitals, police stations, schools where people go for shelter. So that's the impact. And why do it in the aftermath, right? Why do it in the aftermath? If we can have that map before, that would be very useful when actually a disaster hits. God forbid it does not hit, but if it does, you know. So I'd like to show you something we call as a time-lapse video. Okay, we actually show how a certain place on maps has changed over time. Make it full screen. Yeah. So this is Madurai. This is the hometown where I come from. And you can see how the place has changed over years.
Every edit you see here was done by a user, guys.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot to all of you.
Thank you very much. So there are parts of Pakistan that have been totally mapped from scratch. And we have communities where mappers can interact with each other, try to find solutions, try to interact. You can also reach out to us. There are, for example, you can organize a mapping party in order to spread awareness about MapMaker. We're also planning to come out with other ways to engage and interact and allow you guys to try and test the product. Some people find it really addictive. So we all want you guys to get hooked on this product. So now that kind of wraps the session. It is a relatively short session. So we have enough questions for time, but I want to leave you guys with a thought. Now just hold on. I'll finish, and then we'll have questions. Sure, definitely. I'll come to you, and then we'll leave the floor open to the audience. So the thought I want to leave you guys with is this. Whether it's Gmail, Google search, YouTube, maps. Now, we are in the technology business, as many people would tell you, but I believe that deep down, we are in the business of touching people's lives. We are in the business of making it more convenient for you, all right? And by having products like MapMaker, we are allowing you to be part of that experience, to be able to touch other people's lives, okay? And that's exactly what we want you guys to do. And thank you for the great job you guys have been doing. And give yourself a big round of applause. All right, that gentleman.
Yeah, I'm Brahmanand here, and I have been mapping for almost 3.5 years for India. And it all came automatically. Somebody just told me you can just go and map, and it all started. And
Absolutely. Yep. Give a big round of applause to Ramanand.
Yeah, hello everybody. I've been mapping for almost 3.5 years, and somebody just told me that you can start mapping, and Google has started that. And that's how it came about. I had a lot of interest in mapping, searching for places in the Atlas books right from school, and that's how my hobby started, and I started editing. I was really happy when I was called for the first time, for the first conference they had in Bangalore for Google Map Makers. And I was lucky to be part of that. And I learned lot of things I learned from them. I got a good community. I knew so many people from throughout the world who could help me in mapping, and I could help them. And today, I have around 23,000 edits in Google Map Maker.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, great.
So this is for your car.
I already have one.
Okay. You have one already? Yeah. Do you have this book too?
No.
This book is written by another guy who was like you, Ken Jennings. Take it.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Map
Something more I would like to add, though I have been in Bangalore for past 15 years, I've seen that I map each and every place, every village, every road, every business listing, whatever it is, for my native. And today, if you compare Google Maps for Belgaum with respect to some other competing maps, say Maps of India or Wikimapia, Google Maps for Belgaum is the best. And that all came because I took it as a personal goal that I go and talk to the localites, local government people, get the maps from them, go and add it to the Google Map Mix, and today each and every village in Belgaum is available.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. You want to take this back to the audience, actually. Yeah, be around. So this real sense of empowerment you feel when you see your place mapped well is incredible. Thank you.
Okay, now it's again a challenge for me. Who put their hand first up? I don't know.
This gentleman. This
okay.
gentleman, yeah.
Like 3 months before, I was going to Chennai, so I planned my route in Google Map. So the state highway, the national highway NH47 is mentioned as State Highway 60, National Highway 66 in Google Maps. I reported the problem, and still it's the same thing.
Yeah. So I think Jen kind of answered a question on similar lines, which is, so report a problem is one way, and there are probably workflows that are internally there, and he said there could be variability in spikes of incoming volumes.
So no, I'll answer your question. It's something more than that that's going on here. Okay. So how many of you are aware here that the national highways were all renumbered recently in India?
Yeah, they were.
Okay, so there's a problem. Not everybody knows this. So what happens is when these things happen, right, you find yourself in this strange land of should you be factual or should you rely on people's opinions? Okay, so the point is most often you err on the side of being factual. But the problem with road data is if everybody who uses that road on a regular basis knows it as NHX, and now it has become NXX prime, they'll say, oh my God, what just happened? In my mind, it's still NHX, right? So we have actually gone a little bit back and forth. A more common version of the same thing is when business names change, right? So Somebody refers to a place as KFC, somebody refers to it as Kentucky Fried Chicken. Both are correct. But what do I call this place as, right? And both these guys might be like Ramanand. They might have like 23,000 edits or something. So what do I do now, right? So there is some of this, what I've come to understand when I started working on maps is, I used to think of a map as 100% factual, everything is in there. What I learned very quickly is nobody in the world has 100% factual representation of the whole world. So you are kind of living in that gray area. So that's really why you saw that for NH47 in particular. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to give turn to somebody who has not answered yet. This row is done. This row.
You were talking about marking regions, like you get it from the satellite, all the images. Is it possible to mark, places within a building, or like some place within? Suppose I am lost in a mall and I want to find something. Is it possible to mark there as well?
Jayant, would you like to answer?
Go for it. Either way. So, how many of you are familiar with indoor maps in Google Maps? Yeah. So indoor maps are not yet launched in all countries of the world. They are launched in the US and in few other countries. So when they come to India, you will definitely be able to do it. But what you can do, you can go search for indoor maps, and there is a UI. It's not on MapMaker yet, but you can submit building floor plans, and then you can go in and mark things. But today what you can do is you can go to Forum Mall, zoom into Forum Mall, and you can drop markers for all these stores that are there in there. You cannot yet draw the boundaries within that in there. It's how many of you here are computer scientists? Okay, good. So I'll try to speak less like a geek, but modeling the world down to that level of specificity is something that I'm proud to say we have accomplished, but we have not yet enabled it on MapMaker. It's only because we accomplished it that you see indoor maps on Google Maps, but we have not yet enabled editing on it yet. So stay tuned, it'll come.
Can I? Yeah. Excuse me here. Here.
A gentleman back. He already has a mic.
Okay, is it possible to get this on mobile platform?
That again, Jayant has to answer.
Okay, and I have another part in this.
My favorite question. How many of you here have actually used MapMaker? I'm going to get to your question in a minute. Okay, I don't mind if everybody answers this question simultaneously, but everybody who put their hands up to said they've used MapMaker before. How many of you feel like asking the same question? Is this product available on the mobile? Okay, near 100%. Okay, so the reason I took that poll is it's a very common question. How many edits have you made, my friend? Who raised it?
I just saw this today, so I'm interested.
So I'll give you an interesting answer.
Yeah,
if you reach Ramanand's level,
yeah,
I will make it available to you today. Okay. We have had a version available for our power users to try and give us feedback, but we need to we are right in the process of building something that's available at scale for everybody.
Yeah, because we're using mobile maps very frequently, and if we find something which is not correct, right, we can change it and.
Sure. No, the use case and the motivation is very strong. Just because you gave me that use case, while you are on Google Maps on a mobile, you can still go ahead and use that whole report a problem thing. You can go and say something is wrong or the other.
The second part of my question is Google Map going to be available in iOS 6? Because I heard Apple is coming up with their own maps. So is it available?
What's your guess?
It must be there.
If I answer that question, I could lose my job. So I'm not going to answer that question.
Anybody else? That's it?
Yeah.
So many hands?
One thing quick.
Last question for you.
Okay. For example, like today, if I mark this property as mine, my home, now tomorrow, let's say if I sell this property, so some other person comes and says that no, it's this property is mine from today. So how will this verification happen actually?
Yeah, so first thing, you can't mark your home. Okay. So you can't, because that's something that you privately share to your friends, relatives, whoever. So maybe if it's your business place, you're a business owner, and there are customers coming to that place, you can mark it. And then a new person comes in, that same person can go and claim that place and mark it. Now verification, mostly, for example, if you go to the place page, how you add your business, there is verification on phone that happens when you add a business. That's through Google Maps. That's not through Google Map Maker. If you do it on Google Map Maker, verification happens either if there's a website or if we try to look, there's some information around. If not, we will just trust the user.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. Over here.
Yeah.
So over here. Here.
Who has the mic? Speak. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are the satellite images in India are so poor when compared to other countries?
So let me try to understand this a little bit better. So which part of India do you come from?
I mean, from Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu.
From Coimbatore.
Yeah.
Coimbatore Lenga. Which part of Coimbatore?
Press Colony.
Okay. So it actually depends. I can tell you the long and short answer. For everything is a long and short answer, okay? So the short answer here is that satellite imagery is very expensive to get. So unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of updating it everywhere. Having said that, we do update it, right? We have a process. So if you participate in the MapMaker forums, you will, I'm not going to give it away because I want you to come to the forum, because the question that you have, hundreds of others will have. You come there, search for it, there is a link. You can go to that link and request satellite imagery down to any areas on
Press Colony.
Press Colony, Coimbatore has bad imagery, you can say. For example, if you take Bangalore, some parts have really good imagery. You just have to go 5 kilometers away and the imagery might be like 3 years old. There's a reason for this, which has to do with the way the earth gets, people take pictures of the earth and how much it costs to buy this data and all that. We definitely use the extent to which map makers map a given place as one of the inputs to prioritize. Okay? It's not the only input. Sometimes we, in fact, invest in places where there's no mapping done because we want people to map those places. But in general, for places where we have map making activity, the extent to which people are actually mapping there is one of the inputs. Okay?
How often does Google update the...
You lost your chance, one question and that's it, sorry. Yeah.
So if you want better images, go and map your places. You're going to soon get better images.
Only if one...
Sure. Sure. Mm-hmm. Sure. So you know, it can be looked at a case by case basis. Okay. I can talk to you later. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. That's the time there.
Last
you have a lot of time.
Okay, does the government keep tracks of the updates that we
Last
make?
time also I
What if someone...
Hold on.
Okay, what if someone like maps a private area which is like related to defense and something? Does the government keep a track for all this?
So there are a couple of factors here. So there are depends on the country in general. And in some countries, for example, in India, there are some regions which you cannot map at all, right? So in those things, if you make an edit, the edit will just not go through, right? You can draw all you want, huh? We don't necessarily block it. You'll make the edit, but depending on the edit that you actually make. So for example, if you say this is a DRDO colony and there is a tea shop inside it, the government doesn't care. But if you say this is kind of where we think missiles are actually made, there's a problem, right? And it really depends. When you deal with the government and policies, it's not cut and dry, not as cut and dry as an average citizen would like it to be, right? Not because the government wants to necessarily make it problematic. It's really a complex topic, right? What should be and should not be mapped. So it varies typically by country. There are some countries where we have strange problems where certain things are national secrets. And even telling which location is, what can I say, cannot be shown on a map itself is a national secret. So those are countries where we don't even launch MapMaker. It's just, you know, before we launch a product, my job is to make sure that I can get that permission. If they say you can't do it, I don't launch it in that country. That's it. Yeah. So, no, there was somebody here who wanted a question. Go ahead.
In Google, if somebody searches a place or something, a hotel or something, there will be a list that which will come out after searching. So
right.
There is something maybe cost involved that if I want to bring my hotel in the top, similarly in the maps, if I mark some area, it's my property or something. So is it going to be free forever, or is there any commercial thing?
So let me make sure I understand this question clearly, because a lot of people confuse this. So how many of you know that Google has organic search and ads on the search results page? You know that, right?
Yeah.
So how many of you know that the organic search results page, you can pay $1 million, it's not going to change anything, right?
Correct.
So Google Maps is like organic search. Okay? So what gets shown, the ranking algorithm that's used is a function of similar metrics. How often is it searched? When people search for a given category, how often have they clicked on restaurant A versus restaurant B in a given viewport, like the map that you see, so on and so forth, right? So that is how maps will always be, right? Because otherwise it will just kind of kill us. We have to keep it that way. Now there are ads that are served on maps. Have you seen those ads?
Yes.
So those ads show up when, for example, let's say you're searching for a restaurant. On the left, we show sponsored links at the top. Likewise, let's say you go click on, let's say you're searching for a restaurant and you clicked on Shanti Sagar or something, and there was an ad for some other business, some other restaurant. We will show it there, right? It will explicitly be having like a whatever, a colored background and all that, right? That's basically our current plan at least. What you see on the map and what gets surfaced in terms of when you search, it's all organic. It will never become paid. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Hey, somebody in the back row? Somebody in the back row? Yeah. Sorry, Jonathan, I'm making you walk.
I know I'm here, but I'm going to talk to somebody there. So, can you just pass the mic so that
Hi, good afternoon all. My name is Deepak. Thanks for explaining this edit features and other stuffs, and you explained about the moderation team. Well, say if I'm a layman, first time I'm editing, and you say it depends upon the trust score. And one like Mr. Ramanand, then he will get the trust, and whatever he edits, depending upon the number of edits he's done, legitimate edit, it just gets added without any verification. But in the other case, like us, who's a layman who does it, and if it is a legitimate information, it again goes to the moderation team, and it takes time and depends upon your SL as to how much time it takes for it to get reflect on the actual map. Well, how many legitimate edits should I make in order to be the trusted, be part of the trust score? And do you have any such?
So let me explain this one more time. Ramanand began his life as a user with 0 edits on MapMaker as well. Right? So obviously the system is kind of basically smart to allow new users to come in and gain the trust score. So to answer your question, when will I get enough trust score to kind of, so even Ramanand's edits today will probably not get published right away. It really depends on what he's trying to edit, where he's trying to edit, and how risky is the feature that he's trying to edit. So simply because he has 27,000 edits, for example, I'm sorry if I'm quoting your numbers wrongly, but if he now tries to go say the border between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu or something else, no matter how many edits he has made, it's not going to go through, right? So what I'm saying is, to earn your trust score, what you do is you start making edits, right? Put correct data into the map. Your edits are more likely to go through when you are early on in the product. In fact, when you're early on in the product, if what you're trying to do is to rename a road, draw a new road, things like that, right? Which don't look like risky things to change on a map. Country borders, state borders, things like that. Most of them should go through, because what will happen is the community of mappers we have in MapMaker are also, generally speaking, what I have seen at least is they're very helpful. You make an edit, 3 other mappers will come, they will review your edit, they will tell you, hey, you know what, your road name is not written correctly, your business name is not written correctly, change it. They will give you that guidance on the forum. When you submit an edit, you will get an email back from other people reviewing it. Go ahead and make it. It'll, depending on the type of edits you make, the trust score that's required for your edits to go faster, you will earn it pretty quickly. It will not be, you don't have to wait till 27,000 edits for that. Yeah, sure. Who looks like somebody who's not? Okay, let's go.
Means I wanted some spatial data. Means I was doing agriculture. The problem I faced was when I planted a certain type of crop, the demand was more. But when the harvesting came, the demand means the supply was very high. Like, do I have a chance to play around with kind of spatial data, like map a certain part, like I have harvested this kind of.
Got you. So I think Prassana touched on this a little bit. So there is Google Maps data. Let's just, for for the sake of clarity, let's just think of that as, generally speaking, factual data. Road, name of a road, geometry of the road, existence of a business, things like that. It's still, like I pointed out, there is no such thing as a 100% factual data map that's 100% factual that I'm aware of. But then there is information that's private to you as an entity that you would like to overlay on top of this map. For example, a cellular phone carrier wants to overlay where all their base stations are, what the range of each of them is, so on and so forth, to make planning, network planning decisions. You have an agriculture-related use case. MapMaker is about editing the core data, what I refer to as factual data, because that fact itself changes as the world changes around you. There is another product called My Places. Simple product is called My Places. Can you bring it up, Abhishek? Can you go to maps.google.com? Yeah. So while he brings it up, what My Places does is it allows you to create overlays, very simple ones. That is only available to you. You have to log in and you have to see it. But there is also a more enterprisey version of this, if you will, where you can overlay even more data, visualize it in different ways and all that. So as an example, just look at that. You saw that link called My Places. Just click on it. 1 second, Abhishek. So you can go there and you can click on this button called Create Map. Right? You can give it a title. For example, you can say my agricultural farms during the winter season or whatever. And you can put whatever information you want. So this one, the simple version you have here, is about identifying a bunch of places and then giving it some common theme. I'll give you a common use case. People, when they are searching for an apartment to rent, they go see lots of places, right? And they will identify all of them, create them as, apartments that I'm looking at. So when you go click on it, they will all automatically show up on the map. Okay? Sounds good.
Hi.
I'm just going to go column by column. So in this column,
somebody there.
In Google Maps, around a year ago, there is a new feature that launched on the right click of a feature. There is a what's here, and it will pop up the coordinate of that feature. I really appreciated that. Can we add that coordinate onto the main search result so that user don't have to go to the map and go to the feature and after that get the coordinate? We can get the coordinate directly from the search. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, sorry.
This lady here.
Okay, I think you've been waiting.
I think you mentioned regarding you analyze the traffic on the road. So how do you actually analyze it? On what basis?
Okay, just to make sure I understood this is not about MapMaker or report a problem. This is just Google Maps, right? How do you get traffic data? Bunch of different ways, many of which you can guess. One is you get historic data over time, right? You can, governments and others, there are other agencies who actually track this kind of information depending on the country. So for example, in the US, you do have radio stations which tell you travel times. The way they get it is they actually fly helicopters. They have observation stations on top of very tall buildings, and they observe these things over time, and they sell the data to many companies, including Google, right? So what we then do is we run prediction algorithms on top of it. If this was the traffic typically on a Saturday morning, this is what the traffic is going to be now, adjusting for seasonality, things like that. But then we also try to use other sources that we can try to triangulate. For example, the velocity with which cars are moving in a certain road based on, if people have opted in an Android to actually share that kind of information, we can get that. There are other ways to triangulate it, yeah. Okay. So I'll come to the middle row.
Yes, sir.
Do you want?
There's a lady here with the
Okay, go for it.
Sir, it's with regard to the satellite images. What I've seen is the area around my house has changed a lot. There are a lot of new layouts that have come up, and it's been over a year since those layouts have come up. But it's still not shown on the map. Is there a way that I can edit it? And there are new roads also. So is there a way that I can make that change?
So a couple of thoughts there. First, again, I apologize for the satellite imagery not being up to date. As I explained to the gentleman some time ago, it is a challenge to update the world's imagery as fast as I would like it to. Now, having said that, one of the things we are trying to do in MapMaker is not require users to provide satellite imagery as the proof for adding new stuff. So what that means is, let's say there is a new subdivision, a new apartment that has come up. It's not visible on satellite imagery, but you know it's there. You know it's called some Aishwarya residency or whatever. You just draw a big blob, call it Aishwarya Residency, and you submit it, right? It should normally be reviewed and should be approved, right? We are no longer telling people if it's not on satellite imagery, we won't take it, because we know our limitations, and we know that the world changes faster than that. Yeah.
But there are like trees over there. So I mean, like if I mark something
Sure.
in between trees, won't it like seem totally?
It depends, right? That's why I said there is a moderation process. If you are, depending on your trust score, depending on the risk level of that edit, depending on how many others review that and their trust score, things will move as fast as the community can approve it. We don't really get into the way of the approval process unless absolutely essential. We are fortunate enough to have enough users of maps who are willing to review it, who can validate and say this person's claim is correct. Okay?
For example, if Ramanand has the trust code, that he can review it and that can go live. Users can review as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So let's go to this column, somebody. Yeah. I'll get you. Go ahead.
Okay. So let's say in an area I have drawn a lot of roads. Okay. And after a few months, what I notice is because probably of a slight different alignment of the satellite imagery, the next time I want to add a new intersection, now I get a bit confused, right? Because the satellite imagery and the lines that I had drawn before, they no longer align to each other, and now I have to draw a new road. So should I?
So I think I hear your question. So the situation is that you drew the map, let's say a month ago or something, and then subsequently satellite imagery was refreshed. As an outcome of the refreshment, as an update of it getting refreshed, your road is no longer aligned with the current satellite imagery. And so some of the road that you want to draw is now going to be a problem. So I will say that yes, it is a huge headache when alignment problems come up. What I would say is that when you draw new roads, align it to the current satellite imagery, right? Either you, some other users, just Google ourselves, we might try to go align it again. We also try to align things algorithmically, but we will try to do it one way or the other, okay? So how many minutes do we have left?
We have one last question. I think lunch has already started.
Okay.
We can have one last question.
The very last question.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Karthik here.
Okay, somebody already has the mic, made my life easy. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. There are 4 different modes of maps available: terrain, satellite, hybrid, and standard.
Yeah.
So I still go edit in standard mode. When I switch back to the satellite mode, the name, everything is there, but the image is somewhere, the physical building is shown somewhere. So how to get sync of all these modes in one?
Let me make sure I understand this correctly. So give me an example. Did you draw a building?
No, there was a building constructed on a highway.
Okay.
So I named it like in my place. It's around 100 kilometers from Bangalore.
Okay.
So the standard map was where I went and edited and named it.
Okay.
So when I came back to the satellite mode, it was not available there. The building was somewhere else and the name was...
How many days or weeks after you made this edit did you see this situation?
It was almost 3 weeks, 1 month.
So the edit was approved, published, and you could see it on the map view but not on satellite view correctly?
Yes.
Okay, then I know this problem. And it was a polygon, it was a shape that you drew?
Yes.
Okay, it is a bug. It has to get fixed.
Okay,
thanks.
thank you.
So I don't know exactly what is happening. Okay. Guys, deal is a deal. Time up. I'll tell you there's better lunch, so enjoy. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.